This is a walkthrough of my first portfolio project for FlatIron School, the CLI application that will be scraping the astrology.com website. The first level scrape scrapes all of the signs and planets. Second level scrape will scrape the sign details and planet details. So in my scraper class, we start with the first method, which is scrape signs and planets. Using open-uri and Nokogiri, we scrape the astrology.com website. First, we scrape the signs, creating new instances of the sign, assigning the name to the instance and the URL, and it scrapes the planets, creating new instances of planets, assigning the name and the URL. The second level scrape is for scraping the sign traits. Again, using open-uri and Nokogiri, scrapes and assigns the traits, dates, and planet to the sign. Assigning the planet through a find by name method that's used in the planet class. The next method is the scraping of the planet details, again using open-uri and Nokogiri to scrape that second level page, assigning the details to the planet. In the CLI, we start out with a run method that puts out a welcome message and then does the first level scrape of the signs of planets. It then calls on the menu. The menu outputs a list of options. To see a list of astrological signs, enter 1. To learn all of the details of your astrological sign, enter 2. To learn about the planet that rules your life, enter 3. To exit, type 4. What would you like to do? Depending on that input, it calls one of the methods, the method associated with the input. If the input is not between 1 and 4, it outputs an error message asking for a valid selection. The first option is to list all signs, which is a method that iterates through the sign class variable all, iterating through each instance with index, outputting the instance name with index number, the same for list planets, iterating through the class variable all, outputting the instance with index and name. The second option is the sign details, which calls on the list signs method to list all of the signs, then asks for input of the number of your sign. Depending on that input, it goes and scrapes the second level, prints out the sign, and then a submenu. If the input is not between 1 and 12, it will output an error message asking for a valid selection. The print sign method basically is a method called here in the details that just outputs all of the data that was scraped in a nice organized manner. The name, dates, planets, and traits associated with the sign that's being passed in. The planet details method is called when the user wants to see the details related to the planet. It lists all of the planets, asks for the input of the number of the planet you want to see, and then depending on that input, it scrapes the second level scrape and prints out the details associated with that planet. If the input is not between 1 or 11, it will put an error message asking for a valid selection. The print planet details method just basically outputs the details that were scraped in the planet details method. The submenu, that's called when the user asks for sign details, is just a menu that allows the user to go directly to the planet that rules your life, the main menu, or exit after it prints out the sign details. Depending on the input here, it will either call the planet details, go back to the main menu, or put out an exit message. If the input is not between 1 and 3, it asks for a valid selection. So within the planet class, we have 3 attr accessors: name, details, and URL. The class variable all, that's an empty array. The initialize method, which puts each instance of the object into the class variable all. This is a class method for that all, the all class variable. And this is the class method find by name that was called within the scraper class to associate the planet with its sign. In the sign class, we have the attr accessor's name, traits, URL, planet, and dates. Class variable all is an empty array. It stores each instance of the sign class into that class variable all, and this is the class method for that all variable. So we can go ahead and run the program. It's out the welcome message. Hello there. Welcome to your astrology source. To see a list of astrological signs, enter 1. To learn all of the details of your astrological sign, enter 2. To learn about the planet that rules your life, enter 3. To exit, type 4. So we'll go ahead and list the signs. It outputs a list of all the signs in green. Now we can look at the details of the sign. Puts out the list again in green, and you pick your sign. We'll use 3. And then it prints out all of the details from the second level scrape: the sign name, the sign dates, the sign planet, and the personality traits associated with the sign. So then we get our submenu. It says to learn about the planet that rules your life, enter 1. To go back to the main menu, enter 2. To exit, enter 3. So we'll go ahead and look at the planet details. Puts out a list of all the planets. Choose 3. And it puts out the planet details from that second level scrape, the details associated with that planet, Mars. And then we go back to the main menu to see a list of signs, enter 1. Since we went through all of them already, I will just go back to details of a sign. We're going to enter 13, which is an invalid selection. And you can see, please enter a valid selection. So we can exit and we get the message, see you later. And that's basically it. You can loop through again. Let's see. Show you from the main menu, going straight to the planets. If I enter 12, it'll give me, please enter a valid selection. And that's about it.